I intend to enjoy it to the end is what she's talking about. And you see Frieren, and she's like, like, what do you mean? This was the episode where, like, when they're going into dungeons, a lot of people I know from my personal experience, because I've been there as well too, is like, we don't necessarily want to enjoy the journey. So it's just like when Hamal says, I'll have fun adventures, riding dungeons, defeating monsters, finding treasures, and before I know it, I'll have saved the world, which is a fantastic way. Wow, fantastic. It's a fantastic way of being able to look at this. It's just like, this is the kind of adventure I want to have. Too many of us want to have these like big grand adventures of like being able to reach the top of the mountain, of being able to find everything in the meantime. But that's what I've liked about this anime thus far, is that it's not so much about the destination. Like, sure, the destination, the goal is cool. Like having that in mind of like, okay, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have billions of dollars. I want to be able to help out as many people as I can. I want to save the world. Where in the meantime, like, we might as well enjoy where we're at right now. Too many other times we get distracted. I know I've been in this place where I would get distracted of like, oh, these are the people that I want to talk to. This is the place that I want to go. And I've had many grand adventures myself, but like being able to be on this one specific area, like this one specific place, can be very beneficial, because like we can look at like, these are all the people that I myself have come in contact with so far. Like, I mean, this was at like an anime expo that I went to. Like, the guys were chill. Like, it was a great time. This dude, like, he sold art, he sold puzzles. This guy was a videographer. This guy took photos. This was a videographer that I had beforehand. Like, these are all people that have different stories, and I was able to meet with these people and have these connections with them because I went on a grand adventure, because I decided to take some time away from work to be able to get some different stories that I hadn't originally had. There's been women, there's been snowboarding, there's been powerlifting, there's been abs games, which I'm not a huge fan of abs games, but like, that's where I say, like, if you don't know what you want and if you don't know what you're interested in doing, go out and try it. Like, go explore, go try different things, go talk to different people, go have different conversations, go to different events, go to the hot springs, like meet with strangers in the park, like just go hang out with friends, like whatever it may be. Like, you have to try things before you figure out what you want to do. Like, I did the exact same thing. Like, I vlog every single day. Like, I'd have these grand adventures. I'd figure out like this hike or this area that I was going on, and they'd be like, okay, like, let's explore this area. Let's see what's up here. Like, let's have these different conversations. Let's just meet with people in the way that I want to meet with these people. Like, I've been able to run into random people all over the place that I didn't expect myself to run into. Like, one of these women, like, she was just a girl that I ended up meeting, like, just out at the hot springs. She was great. Like, her and I, we had these different conversations that I didn't originally expect us to have. So I was like, well, hey, that's pretty neat. Like, I didn't get to know that. Like, I didn't get to have her perspective on the world until I ended up running into her at the hot springs. And don't get me wrong, like, I love being able to stay in one place and be able to meet all these different people and being able to have these different conversations, like going on bike rides, like doing like all this different stuff of being able to just like go to the gym, meet with people, like relax, chill out, like have a different experience that I didn't originally have, go to friends' houses, parties. Like, I always have different people that I connect with because I love people. I love talking to people. I love interacting with people. Well, at the same time, I also love watching anime. I love being able to look at these types of things and be able to be like, you know what, this is actually a really good way, because it's just like, we might as well enjoy the adventure that we're going on, have as much fun as we possibly can. And besides, like, in the meantime, there might even be some like rare grimoires or some rare people or some rare experiences or some cool stories that you wouldn't have originally been able to know that you would have gone on if you didn't actually step outside of the house, if you didn't go on that grand adventure that you wanted to go on. Mine was just for a year. I had the luxury of doing that, and now I'm like back on the work grind. I'm still like making videos, like I'm still doing these things. It's just when I took the time off to go on that adventure, I got to explore so many different areas. I got to explore so many different people. I got to see so many different things. I also got to feel things that I had never felt beforehand. Like, I realized that I didn't want to be somebody that could just like, that was just sitting by and not talking with people, wasn't having many interactions. Like, I still want to be able to make videos. I still want to share. I still want to have conversations. Like, I met these people right here. So like her and this dude over here, him right there, like him and I, we ended up like climbing up these trees and like going on this grand adventure. And like we ended up doing like backflips out of this tree right here, like at the lake, which I was like, that's pretty cool. But I wouldn't have done that beforehand when I was so focused on work. And the crazy thing about this dude, you guys, like this dude, like he was an expert at climbing trees. Like, it was so cool how he was just like, just the dude that was climbing trees, like he did next to nothing. I'm over here like trying to struggle just to get up this tree, like move this thing up. But the dude had like no fear of heights whatsoever. And I'm like, I wouldn't have been able to meet that guy if I wouldn't have gone out and like just had the conversation with the person. So this is why I'm such a big proponent and like just exploring where you're at, like wherever the day takes you, allow the day to take you where it needs to go. Ended up meeting this girl as well too, like her on a bike ride that I ended up going on one day. I was like, hey, I see that, I feel like I saw you at this other place. She's like, yeah. And then her and I, we had this conversation. She invited me on a different ride with one of our friends. I don't ride as much as I once did, just because like I've kind of like, I did a lot of the writing because I wanted to explore different parts of the town, different parts of my mind. I didn't want to have to go somewhere. But like, this was what we ended up doing on the very first time that her and I ended up meeting. Like, we ended up paddleboarding together. I'm like, that's a pretty cool thing to do. Like, you don't get to just randomly do those things just out of the blue, just because most of the time people seem to be very reserved, but the people that I seem to come in contact with are very open to like having a different adventure or getting a different story, because now she can also relay that story to somebody else that she wasn't able to relay that story to in the first place. So I find these types of things where we hear about like just having like a fun adventure, raiding dungeons, defeating monsters, finding treasures, like, and before I know it, I'll have saved the world. Like, for all I know, and I talked about this briefly in these other videos that I did around this series as well too, is like, there's probably people that I've planted seeds in that I've made a significant impact on these people that I didn't know that I was making a significant impact on them at the time, because I was just being me, just as much as you are just being you. Like this dude right here. So like, I met him this day, the morning when we were having coffee. We had like a nice little conversation, a nice little chat. And then what ended up happening afterwards, like, we ended up going to the gym and like having this whole, like, this lift experience. And like, this wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have like gone out and had a conversation with the people. And then we ended up like having this deep connection that we didn't originally have. And I'm like, that's pretty neat. Like, this is what happens when you just like put yourself out there. You ask a question, you go on a grand adventure, you're going to meet some different people, you're going to have some different conversations. This girl as well too, like, she was somebody that was big into TikToking, and like, she's making a whole full-time income on TikTok, but like not having the conversation or the ability to go out and do those things, because I myself was always too focused on, I need to work. I need to make all this money. And don't get me wrong, like, I still do want those things. I've just come to realize that I'm like, I don't have to rush to get to that place. Whenever it happens, it'll happen. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm still going to enjoy the process. I'll enjoy the people that I have in my life. I'm going to have fun adventuring, raiding the dungeons, defeating monsters, finding treasures. Because when they say these lines of like having an adventure, like an adventure could be anything, raiding dungeons, like you could be a dungeon within yourself. It could be a dungeon around like your friends or your family or whatever it may be. Like, there's dungeons all over the place. You could be defeating monsters, not physical monsters, metaphysical, physical, like intellectual monsters within your own head. And then after you defeat that monster, it's like, oh wow, there's this treasure underneath this monster that I didn't even know. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, wow, I saved the world. And these things will happen quick. Like, I've realized this last night, like, we're not getting any younger. Like, we're just going to keep getting older and older and older. So like, we might as well enjoy and share and have the experiences that we want to share and have, and realize that like, every single day is a new day. And you might not have had the opportunity to like take off time like I did to be able to be in a position to where like I could explore my own emotional state, have a little bit better and deeper understanding of myself, so that I could become more emotionally mature, so that then I could go on these rides and like just connect with people in ways that I hadn't originally connected with them in, because there was a very long period of time like where I wasn't talking with many people. I was just going out and like exploring my own self. Like, I'd have a conversation here and there with some people like at the gym or just like around like family members or whatever it may be. Like, I would have conversations from time to time, but it was never this like big extravagant thing. Like, even this dude, like, I just met this dude on the ride that I was doing, and him and I, we ended up having a very brief conversation. So it's just a very fun concept to do, and I highly recommend you doing it. You don't have to do it for your entire life, but like, try to open up, like, try to have different conversations with different people, try to learn about them, try to ask them questions, try to explore the adventure that you want to go on, and see if you can save the world. Because saving the world doesn't happen by saving hundreds of thousands of people. Saving the world happens by having by saving one person at one time, and by enjoying the adventure that you want to have. Like, whenever I've climbed mountains, the walks that I've done, like, I just enjoy doing those types of work. Like, I just enjoy having those types of conversations. I just enjoy talking to those types of people. Like, I have a good friend of mine here, like, him and I, we had multiple different conversations around like language and like all these other fun concepts and ideas. And I'm like, we've had great experiences, and I've been able to connect with people online like this. I just don't do this for free anymore, because I can't be just giving my time up anymore, because my time is valuable, and I have realized that it's a disservice for myself to do these types of conversations for free. Like, if it's on a podcast setting, it's a little bit of a different way of going about it, but I'm like, the information, the exchange that I do give is very valuable. It's why the coaching that you can click in the description down below is the price that it is because I have years of experience. I have people, I have knowledge, I have ways of being able to fine tune your specific result that you're wanting to have by figuring out what it is that you're looking for. Because maybe you even just want to go out. Like, this one, dude, like, this one was kind of a trip. Like, I met these two guys at the mall, and I was like, hey, you want to go lay in the bed? And they're like, yeah, sure, like, why not? So we ended up like laying in the bed, which I thought was a pretty fun thing to do. And we ended up having like a brief little conversation. I think he just got it on his phone, not on the GoPro. which is perfectly okay. But like we ended up just going into the mall, like laying in this bed right here, which was pretty neat. I met these dudes like up top. I was just having a conversation with them, ended up chatting with them. Like there's even been other times too where I think it's near the end. It's this one. So like there's these girls that were just walking by and I was just like, hey, like, so I'm just curious, like what's going on? Like they were just walking by. I just had a conversation with them. We had a good time. We laughed around a little bit. There was a fun, exciting moment for me right in that moment. And like just because I watch anime doesn't mean that I can't like talk with these women. And maybe you're afraid to talk with people. Maybe you're afraid to connect with people in the ways that you want to connect with them in. So I'm just like, you know what? Let me just demonstrate this like real life, because like look at all of this stuff, dude. Like there's so much things that can happen in a given day. We go do these things that we don't necessarily want to do because we're afraid of going on that like grand adventure. But it's just like the grand adventure that I went on, like it helped me grow more in more ways than I ever imagined possible. It's helped me connect in different ways that I didn't even know was possible. And now that I've been able to connect in these different ways, it's like, okay, I want to share these things with you. I want to help you like still enjoy watching anime because I still love watching anime, but I also still want to be able to help you become healthy, help you become fit, help you overcome like certain like limitations that you have within your own mind. Because the only way that you can truly grow, at least the only way that I've been able to truly grow, is by understanding where these things are coming from. And once we understand where these things are coming from, we can start to have the grand adventure that we want to have. And then we can have a world where we can go out and we can save the entire world. So if those are things that you're interested in doing, or if you want to know more about this, how you can have a grand adventure, just focus on where you are at right now. Enjoy the present moment. And by doing so, you'll be able to transform and grow in different ways, because you'll have different stories and ways to relate these stories to these other people. And plus, you'll just be able to have like a much more grand experience that you wouldn't have been able to have prior. And then maybe you'll go off and inspire somebody else to do the same thing. So I appreciate you guys sticking through for this video. And if you want more, just subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and I'll catch you in the next one.